the peloton. Not too sure if in this group, but from the pictures we've seen so far, hopefully we'll start to pick out more and more of this front group of about around 60 riders.
Well, if Bernal's there, then why on earth wouldn't Miguel Angel Lopez be there? I still think he wants to stick it to Movistar and Astana. We'll see. Astana well represented, for they have Zritza, I believe. Yevgeny Gidic is not a bad pick for them as well today. The main problem for everyone is Gaviria, because he looks so relaxed, Brian. Even yesterday, he was relaxed at finishing fourth. Now, I know that sounds an odd thing to say. What I mean, he's at peace with himself, and when he's in that kind of mode, Brian, he's always lethal.
He's got good legs, he says that, and he's come close a few times, but when he looks around the peloton and sees that he is the fastest rider here, and I believe he is, then you can sometimes fall into a sense of form of security, and he really has to deliver to get his first stage win for his new team Movistar, and it won't be easy because Sagan's here, and you know, sprinting well is Lund Andersen of DSM, so you know he's also in here with the yellow jersey on. You can also see Sam Bennett's teammate in here, Sergio Higuita, has made it. I'm not too sure, Carlton, of Albarasturi's here. We can see a few of the Trek Segafredo riders in the red and the yellow. I'm not too sure from this distance if Albarasturi is there. He's already got a podium in this race. I very much doubt that Gleb Syriza is actually in here for Astana. I'd be very surprised if he was in here. But there's still a few riders that will be thinking, you know, how they can try and win this stage, and they run in towards the finish. We may see some attacks, but I still do think that by the looks of things, definitely two teams of Total Energy and Movistar are really interested in taking this to a sprint, and they do have numbers. You can clearly see that at the front of the race. DSM have kind of stepped back a little bit. I don't think they should be riding anyway. I think they should leave it up to Total Energies and Movistar, which most of the race are doing for the moment.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. Trek Segafredo actually started this race short-handed. Aberastori is one of only 5 personnel here, so if he is missing, that would be a real shame for them, because I think there's a golden opportunity for them to have a dig today. Danny Oss as well, Brian mentioned him. He's the sort of strong guy who would be allowed to go. Need to have a look at the deficits that some of these guys have got and how much of a danger they are overall. I guess with the high ground still coming after tomorrow, then it allows a lot of retrieval for the pure climbers. But then again, we've got some strong men here who I guess want to go well today, and will magnify that I think on Friday after the rest day. Egan Bernal, of course, done himself all kinds of favours today, at least if nothing else sort of announcing that he's on stellar form to get himself into the break, no teammates around him, and just be happy in that role. I think speaks volumes for the way he is feeling about not only this race but the rest of the season. It's good.
It is good that he's prepared to race and not just going to sit back and not really think about the Tour de France in July. And, you know, to get there, and this is how he started racing, he isn't afraid. And we were talking about it the other day, that he's a rider that's not afraid to go on the attack. He's not afraid to put everything out there, and that's what we want to see. But just looking at this wind on that kind of drag there, you can see it's slightly from the right hand side, but it's in the face of the riders.
So breakaway. I kind of still think we've got a chance of having one, but then again, looking at the terrain, with a lot of strength here now from the select sprinters that still have made it here, maybe that opportunity is actually gone, and it would have had to have been over the big climb of the day. There's not that much of a lump left, but you can see what a drag it is, Brian. It's almost interminable.
It is a long drag, and the wind isn't helping them, and everybody is prepared to sit. I can't see too much happening. Most of the stronger riders are in this front group. I think they will be thinking not of the rest day but of the day after, and like you were saying before, that they can afford to go a little bit deeper, knowing that they don't have a stage tomorrow, and we may see some attacks, but chances, but they'll realise that definitely Gaviria is here, and I would say he's the favourite for today's stage in this group, but his team have to deliver him here. They have to keep everything together, which in this run into the finish, you know, how much have they got left in the tank? It seems to be Rangel, the Brazilian champion, it's doing all the work, but you know, I think we still will see opportunist moves as we get closer to the last kind of 5 kilometres.
I hope so. They've got themselves something of a headwind. You can see it's not the incline that's hampering them at the moment, although this looks like a stiffer test than I perhaps thought it was going to be. The wind is blowing directly at them for the time being. Can't quite see it, but you probably noticed a gentleman's t-shirt giving us a modest indication. But it is blowing. You can hear it on the effects mic. But more than that, it's the cadence that they're putting into this climb. It looks like a struggle. They are really pushing here, Brian. They're not hanging around.
You can see the way the riders are riding at the front. It's coming from just slightly a kind of head crosswind, so blowing from the left-hand side of the picture to the right. They're just kind of fanning across there. But often that's the case of many riders in the group behind are saving a lot of energy. But it also stops riders from attacking when you've got this kind of headwind open running towards the finish, so it'll kind of hamper the attacks. And even if you go on the attack, once you hit this headwind, it's going to be very difficult to keep that momentum up.
I'm just looking through the pack here for Viviani. I thought I'd seen him earlier on, but I'm now not so sure. Garner's certainly, for a big man, he does get up these kind of climbs very well. It takes a lot of wind as well. Time for a brief feed if you can get one. Make sure, I mean, it'll be mostly fluids, I imagine, but they need some solids as well today. Still a goodly distance remaining, about 35 kilometres, I believe, until we get to the finish. I haven't seen the categorised climb, actually, which will give us our definitive. DSM, as interesting to just see who takes what as they go for it. Fanning across the road, it might give us a better view of it. At least you've got motorcycle pictures now, Brian, which is good.
Yeah, we're just missing the signs at the side of the road. We're not seeing them from behind. They're indicating how far the King of the Mountains is. In this group, we can see, you know, many representatives from Ineos Grenadiers. Bernal is there, Gana's there, Martinez, Rivera. I do not think that Viviani has made it into this group, and that's another one we were talking about yesterday. The speculative attack in the last kilometre, and it was Quinn Simmons that did that, so potentially, you know, Ghana could be another one for today.
Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of squinting at the moment. I thought I saw Viviani just dousing himself then with a cold bottle, but can't be sure. We shall wait and see. Still, apologies that the data's not really keeping up with us today, I'm afraid. Haven't got, goodness me, there's a proper description of the wind at last. Seen it on people's shorts and t-shirts, but that tells you what they're dealing with. At the moment, I think everyone's just coping more than racing, Brian.
Yeah, they are. It kind of, a headwind like this, head crosswind, kind of stops the racing a little bit. Stops people from having a go. It's a total different kettle of fish when it's a cross tailwind. It kind of opens the race. Running towards the finish now.
Well, feeds have been taken by a few. This is your KOM, so we have just about 35 kilometres to go. They're about 300 metres away from it. Wouldn't like
that's
the camera
the
to go too far away from it.
Yeah, that's where the Argentinians were having their barbecue.
Yeah, somebody's saying that maybe they should have put the steak over the heat. You see, that's the secret. If you're going to bake it properly, cook it slowly, and you don't want to put it directly over the coals. But anyway, there we are. So this is your reverse view. So first camera I was thinking might actually offer us up, now that we can see, if you just slow down a bit, a view of the KOM sprint. We're not going to see it from this angle, Brian.
Well, we weren't going to see it from a kilometre in front of it anyway.
Well, that's true. That's what I mean. If we'd just slowed down a little bit, we'd seen who crossed the line first. It's one of these guys, I can tell you.
Well, I think 175 took Devil Take the Hindmost there. I think he's eliminated.
That's the way it feels. Oh dear. Thanks, guys, those of you who are watching in. And thanks for your kind thoughts as well as to what we're having to deal with during this race. It's been a challenge, but I have to say I've enjoyed it, and hope you have too. Simple as that. That's Rangel, who's done a massive turn up front, just wanting a little swapsy here. It's himself a. Well, that was a sticky empty. Just sticks one in the pocket. It looks like he's going to be stacking up here, so he's got every right to do so. Because he's going to have the penalty of carrying water for others. As you can see, it's time to stack up. There's any sanction coming his way. That was our last climb of the day. It was a more sterling effort. You've always said, Brian, that climbs are really defined by how you take them. Even the most difficult climbs are easy if you take them easy. But they had no choice really on motorcycles or indeed bicycles, because they had to set those foot pegs up high for that for the looks like the safety crew there. I think that's the paramedics that ride in. They've got paramedic bikes here, Brian.
Yeah, I believe so, and rightly so.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at. I don't know. There should be a regulator there regulating this, but the team cars are having to go into the right and then go to the left. This left lane should be free of any traffic, so to allow the riders to be serviced a lot quicker.
I know it's not the most detailed picture at the moment, but I'm actually quite enjoying this ride.
Yeah, the peloton are just disappearing, aren't they?
They are a bit.
We're kind of doing commentary in the convoy now.
Well, we're getting it all today. There we are.
So they're too far behind, and the bike in front is too far in front.
We'll work it out.
There's a commissaire car. Oof.
Yeah, I know.
Another one. See, they can't get by.
No, exactly. Well, it's for the commissaires to actually issue their edicts. They're quite happy to pick up on somebody without a helmet, quite rightly. But yeah, they should be guiding them a little bit more here, I'm afraid. But it's what we've got.
The second commissar car on the right hand side.
Good lord.
It does give you a wee bit of an indication of
how busy it is. Yeah, the marsh back
what
here.
happens behind, and how, the experience, the trust you've got. But for some of these motorbikes, they are risking a lot.
They are, and to be honest, there's not much safety kit on either. You're going to get a nasty road rash if you go down. Looks like somebody's just off, not for an art shot, but for a bit of relief.
How's your eyesight these days, Carlton?
Oh gosh, look at the. That is a long shot, isn't it? While we're talking about long shots, who's your pick today? Are you going to go for Gaviria?
Gaviria.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Gaviria.
This game.
Fernando.
He's put the zoom on for us. I like that. I think Abrastori's here. I've seen him in Catalonia and the Basque Country, getting up some really sketchy ramps, and then making a nuisance of himself at the very end. Now, you've seen the moment ago. I'm squinting as much as you are at home, to be honest. What I need is a magnifying glass in front of the TV screen just for now. But
we need a big HD TV in front of us, not just a small monitor.
You're giving it all away now, right? Nice for you to make some excuses. I've got something to say. I know. I'm quite amazed. Even when he dropped a monitor on his toe, none.
And even when you disagree with me?
Well, I'm busy swearing. Wow.
Martinez. Danny Martinez. We'll just wait for confirmation on that. But Tom Conti is also a Scottish actor.
That's true. Yeah, just back to what Sean Kelly occasionally had come out with a little a little thing that he would pretend was a fact, but basically was to hope that I would believe it and repeat it. And one of the things he actually said to me once was, boxers who have big feet, very difficult to knock down. And I never said it back on air, but he had me wondering for a while. Of course it's rubbish. You have to watch out when Sean Kelly's in his bedeviling mood, which I find very entertaining. He's a great guy. We're seeing more of him later in the season. 22.3 kilometres from home. And this is all about control, Brian. Carry on.
Yeah, I believe that GCN are actually in Ireland at the moment with Sean, doing a little bit of a documentary on his
jerseys.
His jerseys and trophies, yeah.
It's quite a collection. I'm not quite sure how he's displaying them, even if he does, because he's
put them in hangers.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. They were just thrown in a room, and he said, "I need to get the room sorted." And I think someone helped him, and I think he's got the trophies. He's trying to get pictures to put with them, and do it all like a little museum. So I think he's managed to do that.
Well, let's hope, because it is a fantastic collection, and you don't want them just stuffed in a box. He'd have had to do some ironing, though, Brian.
Have you ever seen Sean do some ironing? We used to go to races, especially the Giro d'Italia.
His laundry.
He'd get his laundry out. He'd put a bit of rope across between the car and a post and hang his laundry from it.
Yeah, and
hang it up in the car. That was the worst thing, wasn't it?
Oh, honestly, sometimes you come back to the car, there's a rainbow in it. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Kelly's Smalls. I'm very familiar with all of them. I won't tell you the brands, but yeah, from those supermarkets you can buy beans as well. Anyway, 21.2. That's higher brand than that. 21.2 kilometres from home, and it's time to start thinking about how this day is going to finish. It's going to be a sprinter. It's probably going to be Gaviria. If it's not, Peter Sagan's going to have an option. It's as simple as that. 21 kilometres to go. We're nearly there, Brian.
Yeah, we are. 21 more kilometres. We can see Bora looking after Higuita. They'll be looking for him tomorrow. So it's just a case of keeping energy for tomorrow. So this has been a kind of first test for a lot of the riders. I have to say that's really nice to see Bernal kind of getting in that breakaway. I think he kind of instigated the racing behind, got a little bit harder. It was always a question of how this stage was going to go with so much climbing early on in the race, very little now. So many of the climbers would have thought, if I can get over this climb, then I've got a chance of a stage win. Well, it became a little bit too difficult for some of them, namely Sam Bennett and Fabio Jakobsen, so they won't be contending. But definitely we've got a few good sprinters in here. But if I was in this group and I've seen these other sprinters, I would be looking at opportunities, like trying to do a Quinn Simmons. I know it's trying and doing it, two different, completely different things, but we still have a little bit of firepower in here that can maybe try and do something.
Well, they may well test and probe. Let's wait and see. Florian Leibowitz has done so much grinding work throughout the entire race. I'm actually wondering if he's on duty for Sam Bennett today, but back on the rag. Looking through this group as they bounce back into the wind. It's a question of just getting yourself as protected as you possibly can today. And you can see from the speed, these 20 kilometres may well take quite some time. It's a brute of a wind that we're dealing with. Just looking at the map, we have come, it's a southerly that's blowing, it has been all week, and it's basically a block headwind. I know the road veers around a little bit. You're going to see a little bit of this. This is your left-hander, so turns into a crosswind for a couple of kilometres before they actually take a right-hander, which will bring us ultimately back to the line. Yeah, this 19 kilometres may well really. Oh, You know what? I really wanted that picture there. I'm trying to find if Sam Wells was here. Nicholas
No.
Markle is, however, and he can do it for DSM. He's got the sort of pace that this is Kevin Vermaak who's gone back. He'll be servicing Nicholas Markle. Now, this is a great chance for the young German, I think, Brian, for DSM. He's in the service, or was before Sam took a slam. Of Welsford. Here we are. There he is, just behind Peter Sagan. That shows a bit of nous and fortitude, and he's got his whole team coming back up to him. So Nicholas Markle is here. He's bound to be the choice, surely, of Team DSM. But Tobias Lund, I was going to say Tobias Lund Andersen is also got a bit of pace about him. Will Nicholas Markle work for Lund, or will it be the other way around?
Well, going on the results so far, it does look as if Andersen was the better. Just looking at the back there's one rider with a hand up looking for some service there. Might be in a puncture, but yeah, I would go for the best young rider at the moment, the yellow jersey. He seems to be sprinting a little bit better than his teammates.
Well, let's see. And Tobias Lund Andersen will get a handle on that at the end, but I think Nicholas Markle, after a tough day like this, but then again finding him at the front with his team coming up to join him, suggests that he's in the service of them, despite the fact he was tracing the wheel of Peter Sagan. Well, snaking across the road at the moment. Haven't really spoken about Astana. Brian is of the opinion that Zritza is not there, but Yevgeny Gidic is, I believe. Into the dark side as the sun starts to set. You can see that little strafe of light there caught by the camera, just telling you the angle that we're dealing with. 35 or 37 kilometers per hour because of the wind, the heat, the terrain. It's fallen in the bin as an average today, but I can't decide what to measure. That's certainly not 44 kilometers per hour, but anyway, they've been hovering around the early 30s, I think, possibly because of this headwind that we're dealing with. Not being overly described to you by the fauna here, but once they come out from the screen of that escarpment, it looked like, they will hit the wind yet again. Still got some picture break. I'm hoping that we avoid any down time later on. Looking through this group for you for Trek Segafredo, Mati Vacek, I think, has made it for Trek Segafredo. Still haven't managed to see Jon Aberastori.
Don't think he's there.
Quinn Simmons could do it again, Brian.
Yeah, he took those. He's thinking about it. He'll test himself in a couple of days' time when we hit the mountain stage, but he didn't think after his talking yesterday's interview that he would be able to go with it. He started today at 24 seconds, takes 3 seconds, 21 seconds, so he's thinking about it. Don't think Aberastori is there. I think he says Vacek.
Leonardi's in for Elo Cometa, Yolo Cometa. It's hard to pick them out, to be honest, because I keep thinking it's Astana, but very close colour palette. It's unfortunate for us, but of course great for them to hide, and everyone thinks there's more of them around than there are. This is Soro Koyanese. Just passing by, just looking at the bulrushes. They're not in a hurry, despite their name. And indeed, neither of these guys for the moment. Gosh, this is interminable, Brian. They're stamping on these pedals.
They are. The white jersey. I think it was Rangel, the Brazilian champion, that had a puncture there. He's just coming back at the back of the peloton. They've got two champions. They've got the Puerto Rican champion, Gonzalez, just sitting in second place. So Movistar with Rangel, the Brazilian champion, and then they've got the Puerto Rican champion, and it looks as if Gaviria is there. Rubio, Lascano. I'm not too sure if Torres is there, so it does look as if Movistar have got at least 5 riders in this front group.
Not bad at all. Tom Bonnier says, this is the best non-race commentary I've heard in a long while. Thanks, Tom. I get the idea. Yeah, we've had our difficulties today. Thankfully,
Yeah,
we've got pictures, which is great. I beg your pardon?
Movistar got 6 riders, complete 6 riders there.
Wow.
Because Gonzalez is there, and then this is 5 dark blue jerseys.
Yep.
And I think Rangel had been riding. I think he just did a bit of a puncture. He's just maybe sitting a bit further back, but
he went back.
Yeah,
for water
impressive
as well.
for Movistar.
It is very impressive. They're all here, and they know it and want to make a statement.
4, 5, yeah, and Rangel, the Brazilian champion.
Quinn Simmons could be on a double here. That would be nice, but it's a different kind of scenario with a 3 kilometre reasonably straight road to the line. It's very different from yesterday. It would need him to clip off again, and that's a hard thing to do, Brian.
Especially 2 days in a row, because they'll be waiting for it.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I was trying to look, and I know that Conti's there for Argentina. I was really thinking that maybe Ricchesi could have got over this climb, but I don't think he's even there. Looking at the pictures that we're getting.
Well, Gaviria he's got to be maintained as our favourite because he's got a full crew to lead him in as well. So it's almost like it's almost as if he doesn't win, Brian. There's going to be questions from this scenario.
Yeah, but sometimes we seen that with Wout van Aert last year. When he gets himself in a small group, he sometimes messes up the sprint. Sometimes it's a little bit different from a bunch sprint and riding in a reduced group sprint. You can't take anything for granted. So Gaviria is the fastest here, but Sagan is smart. And I'm pretty sure that you've mentioned the DSM team as well that might want to take advantage. So it's not a given. They've got the whole team here, Movistar, but the pressure is on him. But you have to say, from the way he's been sprinting so far in this race, he has to be the favourite for the stage today.
A little bit of respite, just handing on a little bit of impetus, as you can see, just a handover of power as they come over this little crest, 14.7 kilometres from home. Now, this really should be at cruise pace, but because of the wind, which is blowing straight into their faces at the moment, it's a very modest pace. It's almost like a slow bicycle race. Meanwhile, back at the cars, just taking on some sustenance. This is Laureano Rojas from the Gremios para el Deporte Cultural Company. Yeah, there you go. We wish them the best. And yes, carrying themselves gloriously. So is Gonzalez, actually. That is the national Puerto Rican champion in Wheel 2, as you're looking at it right now. Total Energies with Alan Siam doing the pacing at the moment. This is a chance for some of the smaller teams to actually take a vault. 14 Ks to go. Well, the helicopter's been going around in circles today. It's refueled once more. We had a lot of down time. They can fly for a couple of hours. I think it's been hanging around, but just trying to nail together our relay, which we have got. It's nice to see some low-down pictures here. Oh, gosh, I won't say that again. Slightly cursed.
But is it not just a case of we take all the other races for granted?
I think so, but you know, I've seen some races in very wealthy countries that have struggled to nail it together as well. So yeah, I think it's the heat that's been an issue during the race. They weren't expecting it to be sort of 38s and 40s. I don't know how you mitigate that, to be honest. The wind then is coming across the road. They're just slightly seeking a little bit of protection, and as you can see, they're not exactly blown apart just for now, with 13.2 kilometres to go. They still just can't get a kick on, Brian. When we get a little bit more protected with our finish line, because there's some buildings and what have you around, I think there's a possibility that we may indeed get a bit more pace about us. Now then, just searching the numbers here for certain Mr. Viviani. There is no sight of him at the moment. In fact, not much of his team either. Out front, Trek doing a job. Vacek is there. He's just rolling up to the front as well. He very much part of the guide for Quinn Simmons, who happens to be here. Simmons has got a kick. So has Vacek. Not sure Abra Story's here. Didn't see him, Brian.
No, I don't think he's.
No.
I don't think we mentioned it earlier on. But you're right. You know, when you do over 1,400 watts in the finish yesterday, he's got a good kick on Quinn Simmons, but he would have to go in the last couple of kilometres, an opportunist move, but the world champion moving up as well, Evenepoel, he'll be thinking about it. He's not going to sit there. It's his birthday. You know, he wants that present. He's not going to be gifted the present, but I'm pretty sure Evenepoel will try something.
I think so as well, and it's whether anyone's got the will to follow him. I think Evenepoel Sagan, you know, just keeping it with those who are familiar with rainbow stripes, that would be nice. 12.2 kilometres to go is where we're going to find out the answer to these eternal questions that we've been asking ourselves today. And for those of you who have stayed with us, and again, we must salute Tim Vonnevill-Gin, because I think he's possibly writing about the day. He's stuck with us. He's been whinging a bit. I'm not going to... No. But he has stuck with us. So, Tim, we salute you. Thank you very much, mate. So, as indeed... Imagine me giving you a medal. 11.7 kilometres from home. The Municipad de Pochito is here, and so is the Sindicato de Empleados Públicos of San Juan, which is their publicity department. I hope I haven't upset them with my pronunciation of it. I did my best. Here we go then, Brian. Warming to the task, and I think as we start to get into town and a little bit more protected, it might become a more familiar kind of scenario that we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's not going to be a kind of fast run-in to the finishing line today, not like we had in stage 1 or kind of stage 2, so it'll be a bit controlled, and with this kind of nagging kind of head crosswind, it's going to kind of slow things down a little bit. So many riders are sitting in the peloton. I know that they're saving things, but with the rest day tomorrow, they can afford to try and do something. I'm pretty sure that when they look up and see that the whole team of Movistar are there, Sagan's there, they're not just going to sit back and roll in and allow them to sprint out the victory. So I'm expecting something in the run-in, but it's very difficult when you've got a long straight run-in towards the finish.
35 Celsius, wind blowing around 20 kilometres per hour.
They've rewound to the start again.
I'm afraid we have... we're back, I hope. Not quite. Well, I'm afraid we've a broken picture link again, just at the crucial moment, just as we were saying how grateful we were. And here's your finish. This might be the only shot we get. This is hard cabled, so we will definitely see the finale. How much we see of the approach is anybody's guess.
Yeah, but we've got about 10 minutes until then. Do I have the opportunity to recite the...
All of Robbie Burns' works. Yeah, off you go.
Yeah. We slick it, cowering, timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic in thy breastie. Though need nae start, away say hasty. We bicker and brachtle. I wad ye laith, and ray and chase thee, we murdering paddle. That's the first verse.
Thanks, mate. How many more verses are there?
9.
That was Brian counting to 10.
No, it was me speaking in German saying no.
I thought it was Scots. I think it's a strange dialect of German. The fans are here, and so are you at home. And I think the longest where it was, but I can tell you that the production crew hadn't been paid, and so they walked during transmission. It was a loop stage, laps, and the camera pitched down and focused on a puddle. And the only way I could keep in touch with what was going on was as the race came by, I got a flash picture on reflection, so kind of upside down of those who were racing as they came by, and then the puddle just rippled a little bit. And I knew that I then had to wait another 10 minutes before they came by again. And yeah, that was a struggle. But got through it. And I kind of thought to myself, well, if I can talk about a puddle for 40 minutes, then we should be okay. But we're puddling, Brian.
What about the race? We went up to the top of this mountain, and there was about 6 vans.
That's right.
And they were all windowed vans, and it was facing the sun. You never kind of thought about that.
Yeah.
So we went in the van, the sun was shining straight in at us. We couldn't even see the monitors.
Yeah. Well,
we had to cover up the windows.
Yeah, you see what we do for you. Yeah. Oh, we've had. I remember when Vincenzo Nibali won in a blizzard on Tirreno, and there was absolutely no pictures at all, and we stuck with it, waiting for him to emerge out of the blizzard. And then the bikes arrived, and they gave us the tapes in those days. Gave us the tapes, and they said, right, well, you're going to just play the tapes, and you're going to commentate the whole race again. I sort of just done the non-race, and then we had to do it in replay with the tapes off the bikes. So we do struggle for our craft, but hopefully it's not been too much of a struggle for you. Well, it's the last 500 metres. This is what we're going to get, Brian. This is it. It's the George Hincapie.
Yeah, we are. I think I did a race. I think it was last year. I did get this shot, about 300 metres to go. The finish. I always find highlights. When I did the Tour of Britain one year, it was off tape, and we'd be sitting there afterwards getting the tape in, and have to do the highlights, cut it down, and it's a hard job. And we were seconds away from doing it. These things you appreciate when you are in a good race and getting up to date, real good pictures. And I have to say the crew in Belgium, whenever we do races in Belgium, they're always, we get all the graphics, we get all, the updates.
Get spoiled, don't we?
Yeah.
So still we wait. When you get the police bikes through and the sirens going, that's when you really know that they're coming. This looks like the publicity caravan with the big circus coming to town, microphone on the top.
That's the announcer.
You're going to have to clear the course. There we are.
He's got 5 minutes.
He has, yeah.
So you get this vehicle that goes ahead of the race, telling everybody what's happening in the race. I hope he's got some information to actually give out.
It's a shame we're not there. He could hand us the piece of paper. Yes, George Hincapie. I can't believe it was. What year would that have been? About 2015, something like that?
Yeah, a long time ago.
It was. No, it must have been more. It must have been more than that, because I think he's been off the bike for.
No, I wouldn't get this if we were out in the road. You wouldn't get this singing at the end.
Yeah, are you sure it wasn't the US Pro Challenge?
No, in Colorado, yeah.
Yeah, into Aspen. That was it. It was into Aspen. Yeah. Let's find out what the gap was. No, George came in and beat TJ Van Garderen in the sprint, but they came out of came down the hill to Aspen. That's right. It was Aspen, the ski resort, because that's why they were all eating burgers and yet, but the snappers have been that's somebody who's had enough pictures. Start squinting because they'll come at us as a rush. This is going to be a challenge, Brian. You ready?
My money's still on Gaviria.
Yeah, me too. We can actually do a sort of a mock call and then see if it's right.
You could warm up a little bit.
Nah.
Give us a song.
You know, my dear brother Paul, he actually bought himself, he said everyone's got to have a turn, you know, it's like, the high fives going on here. Yeah, being from a sort of a Scots-Irish family, which we are, you're expected to have a party turn going on as the race director's coming out here. Yeah, so my brother just learnt how to play There She Goes by the Lars. He can't read music, can't play music, but he can play that on a steel guitar. So if ever you go round to his house, lovely. He'll play you that. He can't play anything else. Just learn the finger positions, literally. But anyway, we digress. 4.5 hours they've been in the saddle. It feels like more than that, Brian.
Yeah, they're boarding up now, so it looks as if we're not that far away. So if you're at home, put everything down. Concentrate on this last 500 metres because they're not that far away.
This is the only camera we've got. I don't think there's any cameras further up the course. It looks like we've got one boom camera working here.
Finishing flag is out.
That's your lot. So there we are. He's got the old checkered flag waiting. I don't know. This one we're going to be talking about in another 11 years if we're lucky enough, Brian. It's a 3 kilometre straight, more or less. So, I mean, if you read after that gag, but anyway. Waiting, they're going to be here. Now, if that helicopter was a description of where they happened to be, and I think it was, maybe putting something in the bank for later on. Here comes the police bikes, as we were saying. So this is security. Just making sure that the course is clear. One last check. At least you're getting to see this as well, I guess. Just making sure that everything is clear and safe for everyone. Do you mind? Off the.
You have to go down the deviation.
Oh, dear. Well, still got a little while.
Bang the boards.
Yeah, exactly. They're asking for it. Deviation flags are off. Is that transit van going to take note of it? Yes. So deviation is in place. Ready, everybody?
3 kilometres to go. 3 kilometres to go.
You just heard that. Through. So that is final security checks, and we won't be that far behind. So that's a warning to everybody. Here we go then. Applauso for the police, and then finally we've got some riders, and still very much bunched together, Brian.
I said that earlier. No flyers yet. Inside the last 3 kilometres.
Your crystal ball is amazing.
Los brazos que queden dentro, los niños ahí cerca y todo lo que pueda suceder, que no suceda.
So you got a little bit of drone picture. We've been droning on all day, just waiting for this finale. We knew that we'd actually see them.
You know, the group behind are in full cry here. So it's
in a great place in the yellow jersey. Thankfully, we can pick him out. He's in about P5 at the moment, just surfing the centre of the road. He's in fact he's moved up into 4th place for the time being. He will have sustained the climbs better than most. Will Lund Andersen. Leads the young riders classification, might be leading the whole race by the end of today. Sam Bennett, of course, was in the early break, has found himself modestly cast asunder. He's got a lead saddle, and there it is, dead centre of the road, picks it up, and Pippo Garner has gone for a long one. He's over by the barriers. Surely they're not going to catch him, but Gaviria's on his case. Garner with Gaviria. Peter Sagan's also in the frame here. Looks like we've got a little bit of skirmishing. He's going to hang on. No, Gaviria coming through. Sagan's trying to get round as well. Unfortunately, Pippo Garner just failing here, and it is, as suspected. Gaviria takes it ahead of Peter Sagan. Some good work in the very last here. Oh, but you didn't see Takes it ahead of Peter Sagan. Some good work in the very last here. Oh, but you didn't see much of the day, did you? Good thinking from Pippo Ganna to go long. Could not quite hold on to it, I'm afraid. Good strategy in the end. Rolled the dice, but in the end, as predicted, Fernando Gaviria takes the day, and Movistar will be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, they certainly will, and they worked for that today. You can see what it means to them. Gaviria getting his first stage win here in San Juan with his new team, and they rode on the front pretty much all day behind to chase the breakaway and get that victory. Looks like we got a dog on the course as well down the finishing straight, but good effort there from Filippo Ganna. We thought there would be some movement. We never saw the run-in to see whether the world champion had to go there, but Gaviria was astute to that. He knew these attacks would come, got in the slipstream of Ganna and swept past them, and Sagan just didn't have the legs to go with Gaviria when he went.
Thought we were going to have a crash there. It was the riders avoiding the dog. Hopefully the beast is okay, and thankfully everyone else stayed upright. I was just being attended to at the side of the road there. Don't wish to dwell on that too much. Great that we got to see the finish. Wonderful as well that Filippo Ganna decided to dig in and go for the hoardings. He had no other choice, Brian. That was the only way he was going to have a chance. But it's Gaviria that takes the win. Well, it was a long time coming, that one.
It was, and he got his reward in the end. He's been quite consistent, Gaviria, and it's nice to see him back. He's one of the riders, we're talking about riders that have been kind of missing the last year or two, whether it's illness, injury, and it's nice to see him kind of getting back to his best. I'm not saying he's at his best now, but getting back to his best. Not too sure if he enjoyed being at home at UAE, but he certainly started well here for Movistar. It was when Ganna went there, Gaviria had to react. He did react, and when he got into the wheel of Ganna, he just swept past. Sagan was just kind of toiling the whole time behind the trees. Gaviria, believe me, still wins, but it looked as if Sagan just came close in the